Fleur, and today I want to talk about one of my favorite subjects, which is journaling. But before I get into it, if you have not yet subscribed to my channel, please subscribe so you can be notified when I put out more videos. And also click like at the bottom of this video because that just helps with the YouTube algorithm so that it will be happier to show my videos to more people. So let's talk about journaling. What is it? Why do people do it? And why do so many people like it while other people think it sounds totally boring? How do you know if journaling is for you? I know sometimes people think that might be boring, but there are a lot of reasons why I really enjoy it and it's been so helpful to me. First of all, for me, here on the Food Allergy Nation, everyone knows that I have a son who has food allergies, and I think it started for me when I began writing down foods that he could eat or was trying to eat or that we had seen a reaction, and I would write down the foods, I would write down notes about his foods, and it was really helpful for me to be able to go back and read what I had written even months or 6 months or a year later to refresh my memory on what he had tried and what was the result of it. All underneath an allergist's watchful eye. I didn't do this all on my own, but that sort of turned into my thoughts on the process and what we were going through at the time, and that morphed into just straight up journaling about things that our family was going through and events and difficult times and happy times, and I've been doing it for years now. I don't particularly like my own penmanship, and for me, typing is a lot faster and more efficient than writing, but when it comes to journaling, I don't really care how messy I was when I wrote, and I also really like the process of handwriting out the words in cursive. I write in cursive, and I think that is more therapeutic for me, and it makes me slow my mind down because I have to write more concisely or I'll be writing for hours, right? So when I'm typing, I can type very fast. I'm a fast typer, but then I'm not as concise and I can just put anything. And it comes through my mind so quickly, I'm not sure I actually process it when I do that. But some people do like to type out their journals, but I handwrite mine in cursive, and it's usually events going on, sometimes good events, sometimes bad events, but things that I want to remember later that I might forget. So while I'm busy writing out my thoughts or feelings about events that are happening, good or bad, and keeping track of these things, I try to remember what my mom told me as a child, which is you never want to write anything down that you wouldn't be happy to see on the front page of the newspaper. That's always stayed with me, and I admit I still wouldn't want to see things I write in my journal in a newspaper because those are my private thoughts and feelings, but I also don't write down account numbers or go on too many rants about something specific that might hurt someone. I try to focus it on something that happened and then my feelings on it to kind of process what I'm going through or what I think my son's going through or my husband or whatever, and do it that way so that it isn't pointing the finger at anyone per se that I wouldn't want to be concerned coming across the journal later, right? You have to keep that in mind. But, I thought that was good advice by my mom. But I will say there have been times where I did just begin full on ranting about something and just writing anything I wanted. And then once I realized I've crossed the line to overly emotional, overly dramatic, pointing the finger, naming names, everything that you really don't want to do, I just go for it. I have just written 2 or 3 straight pages of just everything I can think of, and then torn it out and shredded it, made sure it was ripped to shreds, and then went back and wrote my concise, more even-keeled version for later when I'm reading it. I'll read through it and remember what happened. I don't have to see 3 straight pages of ranting to remember how I felt at that time. So when those cases do happen, I just make the decision that I've crossed the line. I'm going to just go for it, and then I'll just tear the pages up. That's just how I do it. A couple of years ago, I was cleaning out closets and organizing, and I came across some random journals from a few years ago, and they didn't have dates on the outside. I now put dates on the outside, so when I come across a journal, I know exactly what the date range is. But at the time, I didn't, and I just absentmindedly opened it up, and I just started reading through whatever page opened, and I was really surprised at what I saw. I immediately started reading in the middle of what at the time was a huge event that I would have said at the time was something that would change the course of fate. And it might have, but it was so concerning and took up so much of my time and energy at that time. And I had forgotten about it. Fast forward to where I am now in the middle of 2022, and I didn't even remember that happening. Not only was it fine and it worked out, but I was able to look back through the struggle that I had gone through and persevered over to the point that if I hadn't read it in that book, I might have completely forgotten about it. I also found it interesting because I tend to write down questions because my mind always is asking questions. And maybe that's the nature of the medical condition that we deal with, which is food allergy related. It seems like the questions never stop, and I would write questions. And it was interesting to me to see questions years ago. Guess what? I now know the answers to these questions. And it occurred to me that I've been through a lot of struggles. My guess is we've all been through our own personal struggles with whether it's a medical condition or just some goal you're working toward or something really positive that you're enjoying and you're going through it. And being able to look back at struggles and even positive things like working on goals and milestones and we're trying to achieve something and seeing that that goal was achieved and what it took, knowing now how long it took and what it was like to go through the process to reach these goals, it's given me a more calming, peaceful sense in general about my life and life in general, where I'm just not as anxious as I might have been at one time. You know, when you're stumbling through a process and you don't really know what's going to happen and you don't know how long it's going to take, and then you get to the end of it and the anxiety sort of falls away because you've made it through. You've graduated with a degree, or you've figured out your son's food allergies, or you've done something else. Whatever it is, you made it through, and now you can look back on it with hindsight and see that, yes, it was stressful, but you made it. That's really important. When I start to get nervous, I just think, I can't predict the future, but I couldn't predict the future back then either. And if I need a little bit of a confidence boost, I'll just go grab one of my journals and I'll just kind of flip through the pages. What was going on now? I mean, it could be good or bad. Either way, it's confidence building because sometimes it's difficult times, but then you think, wow, looking at it from this far away vantage point, it doesn't seem nearly as bad as what I thought at the time. And that'll help me the next time I get a feeling like, oh, this is bad. Then I think, wait, I've felt like this before. Just keep perspective that we'll figure it out because we've figured things out before. We'll do it again. And as I said, there's also fun times and fun events and goals that have been reached. And those are very confidence boosting to be able to read back and say, I remember that day. That was really fun. And I've even taken a picture of it to send to a friend who was with me and said, do you remember this day? I wrote it down. And then they love seeing that. So I don't know, to me, just being able to reflect back on life has helped me personally a lot. So if we're going to be writing in all these journals, what does that mean? We have to spend a fortune on journals? Not necessarily. I have a few here that I just grabbed out of a tub, and you'll see when I come across them, I've started putting dates on them because that way when I see the front of it, I know exactly what's going to be inside as far as the date range. This one was just a complete white, boring spiral, and I wrote in it. I figured at some point I would feel motivated to put something on the front. And I don't know, inspiration hit one day and I wrote right here on the front. And there were a lot of big things happening, and I just wrote, I can't control everything, but I can control small things around me. And I wrote about what I can't control, and I wrote about what I can. And then, of course, I had to draw a few little images to the best of my ability as a non-artist. That's supposed to be a 4-leaf clover in the bottom, but hey, this is my journal, so I know it's a 4-leaf clover for luck. I love the sun. I like horseshoes. I like all of the things you see here. So I kind of took a really, really plain, free journal and made it better. I Googled this phrase to see if it was copyrighted somewhere. I didn't write it. I've heard it before. I don't know where, but I don't think I made it up. I just wrote it on this journal for inspiration for myself, but I think someone somewhere else said it. Maybe not publicly because I couldn't find it, but it wasn't me. This one I got as a present. Someone gave it to me as a present because I would not have spent this kind of money on it. And then I have, look, a spiral notebook. That's it. If I turn it over, it will advertise a company because I got this for free. And so I'm not going to turn it around, but it is just a blue small spiral notebook. And I have a whole bunch of these because it's not necessarily about the journal itself. It's about what goes in it. And again, I can just come anytime I want and just look in the journal and see what's in there. Now, I will say that my family has picked up on the fact that I like to write in journals what's going on, and they support me doing it because they don't want to do it, but they like the idea that someone's doing it. So later, when we're 70 years old or something, maybe we'll look back through these. Maybe we won't. Who knows? I have a son, not a daughter, so he may not want to see any of these ever again. I have already told my son that if he comes across these journals, once I've passed away many, many years from now, he is perfectly fine to read through them or throw them in the trash or shred them or whatever. He is in no way bound to be forced to read them or keep them or do something magical with them. I'm writing them for us and for myself for the time being. I do not expect them to go to the Smithsonian at some point in the future. But they bought me journals too for birthdays or Mother's Day and things like that. And I do appreciate that. Okay, I just had to run and go grab the journals that I haven't opened yet so I could show them off. I don't know this journal company, but like I said, my family bought these for me and they're really pretty and I like their story, so I'm going to show them. Here's one I just finished, as you can see. I'll go like this. There's the back. But the name of the journal company is Peter Popper Press, which I thought was a cute name, and every journal has its own name. This one is the one I'm currently working on, which is really pretty. That's the front and the back. Inside each one of these journals is a little inscription, and this particular company, I just like the story. It says, Peter Popper Press. In 1928, at the age of 22, Peter Bylinson began printing books on a small press in the basement of his parents' home in Larchmont, New York. Peter, and later his wife Edna, sought to create fine books that were sold at, quote, prices even a pauper could afford. Today, still family-owned and operated, Peter Popper Press continues to honor our founder's legacy and our customers' expectations of beauty, quality, and value. I'm really not trying to advertise for these people. I don't know their company at all, except for I like these journals that I got as presents and they weren't ridiculously expensive. So it's been really fun for me to use these pretty journals. But as I said, I have a whole bunch of just small spiral notebook type journals and free giveaway type journals, and then other journals people gave me because they were given them and they didn't want them anymore. So to me, it's not about the journal necessarily, but while I have the pretty ones, I'm enjoying them. So like always, I never want to push my thoughts or feelings on anyone else, but if you think that journaling might be for you, then I encourage you to try it. If it sounds like an overwhelming task that's just going to be another item on your to-do list that you feel that you need to do and will make you feel guilty if you don't have time, then it might not be for you. But just write when you have time if you might be interested. Because for me, I could go months and months without writing a word, and that's fine. I don't stress out about it. If I don't get something written down, it must not have been that important to me because I didn't take the time to do it. But then other times I'll write every day for months if something really important is going on and I just need that outlet. So just do whatever feels comfortable to you. I hope you've enjoyed my thoughts on keeping a journal, why I do it, and why I see positive benefits from it. If you have a journal, let us know in the comment section below. How long have you been writing in it? Has it helped you at all? Have you ever lost your journal and panicked? What did you do? And if you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel and don't forget to click like because that helps me so much. I'm Fleur and thanks for joining. I'll see you next video.